it is going to be kind of interesting because I mean there are people in this room are good interpreters. It's actually it's been quite interesting in other courses what the particular opinions of the good interpreters are of this area, and that your particular evaluation may be equally and probably is if you especially if you had enough time, I'm sure it is sort of would have sort of equal value in terms of validity vis-a-vis the particular asset team. But we will go and sort of show you at the end what the asset team ended up thinking about this, given a bit more time to evaluate this particular area. Okay. Am I grounded enough? This particular example is taken from the area offshore South Africa to the west. It's called the wine country because the prospects here were named after wines. The introduction, and this is sort of the ground rule of this particular exercise. You're going to be given a seismic data set with key horizons. We've divided the area into 3 blocks. In your exercise, you'll see that there is a spreadsheet that shows the economics, and I'll show that in a second, so that once you decide the risk and the volumetrics, you can go and see what a value is. That there is a sealed bid of a bonus payment. The largest bonus payment wins the block. Everyone, you have a budget of $100 million in terms of your bids. You can bid on all 3 blocks, bid on 1 block. You decide, just don't have the sum be more than $100 million. The rock physics and the amplitude response is provided to you, so you don't have to do the upper leg of this exercise. Key depth grids are also provided so that you can check fit to structure on this. And there are 4 prospects to risk and estimate the volumetrics on. And you go and you have events associated with each one of these. Merlot, Cabernet Upper, Cabernet Lower, and Sauvignon. Okay. Here is the amplitude response. You see that the AVO, I think, what doesn't matter or does it not matter here?
Looks like it does.
Yeah, it does matter here because you see this is a bit of a triangle, okay, coming out here. And take a look at the nears and fars. I think you'll be surprised at what you see there. I show hump plots, and also show the particular AVO response that's expected. In order to go and keep people at least modestly normalized, so you don't have to think of everything here, that I said the focus events have a context for reservoir, and Chris Lurch says you better use a 75% base reservoir probability after he's looked at this area, so that's a given for you.
What does that mean?
What's that?
What does that mean?
That there's going to be a slot in the risk sheet that says reservoir probability, and you put 75 in it.
You remember that spreadsheet? You remember that spreadsheet, Mark? It's one of 14 that you see. Yeah.
The second thing is that the base of modeling indicates, and this is Alan Yu, said there's good probability of top seal, but the stratigraphic seal is more problematic, and these were his particular assessments. The source is oil prone. There's only a 30% probability of only having gas, and that's known by some deep ocean drilling wells that have penetrated the source rock. The base of modeling indicates a good source migration timing story, so that you end up having that at about 70%. Okay? We do ask you to judge the trap probability yourself. So take a look at what the trap style is, how robust the particular structure is. And I don't think you'll be surprised that these prospects have different trap styles. And we found the largest variance in the risk elements and ended up being in the trap. So I've left that open. And the oil recovery factor ends up being about 35%, which will be needed in some blank that has next to it the words recovery factor. So, to give you an idea, to also go and orient you that in terms of the particular plays, that there is one major interval that has over on this side Cabernet upper and lower. Over here you end up having Merlot, and then on a shallower level you end up having Sauvignon. Okay, and so you can look at this picture as you sort of start meandering around the particular prospects. The lease blocks are defined as such, A, B, and C. There's one critical point, so you'll be able to sort of find where things are, and that's this particular point right here, and I've given you the inline and the cross-line location. You also will see those particular lease boundaries are also shown on one of the maps in one of the viewers for you too. I do ask how much of a prospect is on each one of these blocks, and you'll have to go and probably in a couple cases draw one polygon for where it is in block C, the other one in block B. Just go refer to this when you go and probably draw those two particular polygons, okay? And that is pretty much, I think, it in terms of getting you oriented for the exercise. The one other thing I did want to show you before you started was the economic spreadsheet. So I'll come back over here quickly. Those guys from Sideways never would go from my loans. There is a Pinot, but it ended up not being mature. Yeah. I always have a little spreadsheet here for people to use. You just need to go and put in the volume associated with each of the prospects, what your estimates of the piece of G are, and then you just have percentages of that prospect that are in each block. It'll show you the volume in each block, the risk volume in each block, the success case value, and the risk value for each of the blocks to help you decide on how you want to bid on this.
So, how do you bid on something? Is it percentage of risk value or?
That's up to you.
Geological probability.
Yeah, what's that?
Piece of G.
Yeah. Piece, yeah. That's up to you. You get to figure out your bid strategy. I'm just helping you tell how much it could be worth, and I've also told you you don't have more than 100 million, and I bid when
We're taking 100 million divided 3 ways.
And go to the pub. Yeah, sixpence. Okay, sounds good. We also go, and here is a risk spreadsheet that's been set up for you. The particular, it is set up for AVO. When you go to the seismic inputs, you do want to put those in terms of percent reflectivity associated with the prospect. And again, all of the clusters have already been entered in there for you with respect to what you saw on that I think that third view graph. And also, you'll need to go and set up, some of the other things having to do with the particular, data quality on this. So, okay. And I can just sort of tell you, though, right now, when you get to this, I can go and sort of clue you. Actually, I think I give the data in writing some more explanation to help you set some of these other parameters. So also refer to some of the written instructions when you need to answer a question, okay, on that. Again, the structural evidence is something that obviously you're going to have to go and have the information there to take a look at. The other thing is that we've also made your life easy in that you do need to go hit and say extract the amplitudes on this in order to be able to see them, but you don't have to do all that copying. If you go back in and just try to open up those events, they already have been copied back for you. We haven't done the amplitude extractions on the workbench, so you will have to hit go for, I think it's 8 different amplitude extractions for prospects, nears, and fars, and get that done. And probably it's good before you sort of break for lunch to at least I tend to do them in sort of 2x2s, and it probably takes about, maybe 2 minutes each in order to do the amplitude extraction. So just probably make sure that you get the amplitude extractions done and can look at the amplitudes, and then that probably is about 40 minutes until we break for lunch. We'll continue on through the afternoon on this. Again, one of the major questions you're going to have to answer is how do we normalize things for this ABO prospect? Okay?
I think they're ready.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you can give me your bids if you have one.
Block A.
Well, no, write them down. Write them down.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, I forget. Well, then hand me your thumb drive with your bid on it. E-bid.
You want to tabulate?
Yeah. You hand them in to Dave.
Yeah, I'll tabulate.
He'll go and figure out who's gotten what. Okay, it's actually right here. And also, if you look, we also showed them on that one session.
Which one's
We also have
this
the
Calvin
lines on there.
This one, this is Sauvignon, but it goes into 2 blocks.
I can tell you right now, it's
Merlot.
Sauvignon, Merlot, and the 2 Cabernets.
Okay, there's 2 cabinets.
There's a little bit of overlap, but the value of those blocks are driven by those.
Okay, how many teams we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
There we go.
There's penalties for late bids. You want me 2 cookies?
That was C4.
Okay.
Okay, I want to go and first of all,
Mark, right?
sort of tell you that you may also want to go, there is a Lecture 13 supplement that's available out on the website. We didn't put it in your book because it's 150 pages long. You can go and find out all the details about petroleum systems and the like associated with these in case you do want to understand more detail. I'm going to go and give you a fairly sort of high-level sort of overview and of what the particular asset team's sort of perspective was on this. You can see the particular prospects here that we talked about: Sauvignon, Merlot, and then the two Cabernets. That the characteristics of these, first of all, is that Cabernet is in a local sort of regional focal point for the charge. It's also a regional high. It's recognized overall as a fairly robust four-way closure. There were amplitudes associated and tend to be near the high, but overall that we found very little evidence of what we could determine as fit the structure, and most of the edges were stratigraphically controlled. And as you'll see, the amplitudes of this are not as bright as the other areas, and we were and still are fairly concerned about the amount of reservoir that you may actually find there. Associated with that, the particular risks were higher, but you can see that there is this particular complex, even taking into account a fairly pessimistic view of what the particular reservoir could be, ended up being still the most sizable. And I think you probably realize it's also sort of the most robust trap that exists. There appears to be a splay out of the sort of side of this channel that forms what is Merlot. That I probably won't take the time now, but if you take a particular cross section right down through the center of here, down through where you have good near amplitudes, but a fairly large change as you go to the far, that you can see some particular evidence of feather right at the end, and some reasonable evidence of a fluid contact at Merlot. It also ends up having significantly brighter amplitudes, and the perception was that it could well have better developed reservoir. And because of the particular strength of the amplitude anomaly, looking up dip, down dip on this, as well, even though it is a stratigraphic trap along three edges with dip closure and some modest structural conformance to the AVO anomaly, that it ended up having the highest piece of G when it was boosted, and the estimate was, though, that it's still a smaller structure with only about 60 million barrels possibly being in place. Now, Sauvignon is a kind of an interesting, sort of odd beast. The best guess of the asset team was that this was a particular, there was a mass transport complex that ended up evacuating a particular amount of accommodation space that was filled in, so that you end up having along this edge a fairly strong potential stratigraphic boundary. It is a very low relief structure, but with, I think, some good work that I think that Angus did in terms of looking at it, you can actually go and see that things could well be conformable around the whole edge of this, and it's a potential fit to structure, but it's a very low relief structure, and so it's thought to be over most of its area structural control, but a certain amount of risk on that. I think you saw, though, this is a very strong AVO anomaly, that you ended up seeing, evidence of the stratigraphy or the sand very heavily on the near stack, and then when you flip to the far stack, you just sort of lighted up something that really wasn't evidenced at all on the near stack here. And we also ended up using different trends for this than this, because this is probably much like it's in a lower compaction state. I didn't want to complicate your analysis with it, so the same particular trends were used. And so and the reason why that this was, we divided the way that we did for this exercise is that this, again, ends up being robust trap, weak amplitudes, no structural fit. Stratigraphic trap, better amplitudes, very good amplitudes, an issue with a risky but quite possible fit to structure on that anomaly. And so it's really what do you like? And then to complicate things a little bit more, that you can actually reach and penetrate both Sauvignon and Merlot with one well, and you'd have to have a second well for Cabernet. But you also could go with the well through Cabernet with a Moss extension, be able to penetrate the source rock and prove whether or not it's there or not regionally, which you could not do with this well bore. And there's a whole, I think, involved debate, and I don't think people still agree about which one of these wells would be the first well you would drill. So, I mean, that I think that there is in the school that will probably win out is you drill Cabernet, you can drill the source, you drill the four-way. I think that the other particular argument was that if you do drill this and you don't see reservoir, you're going to have to go over here, where if you went and drilled the two best amplitude anomalies and you never found reservoir, that you might well never have to drill the second well. And in other words, it's whether or not you could abandon this particular play after one well or not. And where at Cabernet you could see a few more reasons why you'd have to go over here. And if you're drilling amplitudes, drill your best amplitude. But again, I think that overall, though, people like this because of the robust trap and also the larger potential associated with it, has more sort of risk barrels.
Okay, now here's what happened.
Okay.
Total bids were 500 million, right? So you guys you didn't save any money. You were very competitive. 66% of the money was bid on Merlot. 23% was bid on Sauvignon. Only 11% was bid on, well, I shouldn't say that, on C, and only 11% on B. Okay, A got 66%.
When A got 66, that's Cabernet.
Right.
A is Cabernet. How much did B get?
Oh, B got 11%,
That's Merlot.
and Sauvignon got, C got 23%.
C got 23%. Okay.
And two teams bid their whole wad on A. So you are tied.
Okay. And sort of going through and having numbers that are roughly based on the team numbers, but I did modify them a bit to be consistent with the assumptions that you were given. There was actually more change in the different geologic risk elements associated with the team. You can see that Block A did have the largest value. That second was Block C, and third was Block B. So I think it sounds like from what Dave said, there's a rough correspondence in terms of the value and your ranking of the blocks.
Right.
But also that the thing is that even though, and this is kind of interesting, even though Block A has the most value associated with it, that I'm not sure, did most of you perceive that as the riskiest block or not? How did your risk go? What? You thought it was risky? Okay.
We didn't do much in that block.
And that's kind of interesting because, I mean, that's also a bit, do you want to go and put your money where there's higher probability of success? I mean, if you're a smaller company, taking fewer bets,
right,
you may well and can't diversify the risk. This is big, but not horribly certain. So you bid a lot, but you can lose. And if you don't have that well diversified, this may well not be something. It also maybe speaks to the particular risk tolerance. But different firms also have different risk tolerances and different risk profiles that they're willing to accept. So
We also only got half the numbers for volume.
pretty much across the board, right?
No, just for Cabernet.
Just for Cabernet?
The other two we got spot on, so pretty spot on.
Is your base oil and gas?
Yeah, I think it is. I'd have to double check. Because South Africa has a reasonable gas market. So, yeah, so I think it was for both. Yeah. But I have to go and double check on that. The asset team numbers ended up being slightly different. In certain cases, a little bit more optimistic. And also, you can go and sort of see how things broke down in terms of the particular risks on this, and sort of the boosts in terms of portfolio. You can also even see here what the was read off as a near and far reflection strengths and the different inputs to the risking spreadsheets. So this is in your manual. You can sort of go and if you want to compare those. And you can probably see here, I mean, here we have things broken down between gas and light oil. So let's see, what DHI boosted on Merlot was, let's see, 46 and 8 is 54. And what did we have on the previous one? We had Merlot at what, 40, 44. Am I going the wrong way? Oh, that's backwards.
Backwards. You're going back.
I think it say something now. 36 and 18. I think it is actually for gas and oil, but I think there is a difference between this and the previous one. When it was, we quoted 46, those were probably oil numbers. When the previous one ended up being oil and gas, I think, is the difference. Okay. So, okay, anyways, you could go through the, sort of the detail.